Good morning, and welcome to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court. Today is October the 6th, 2020. At this time, Magistrate Ray Hill, will you lead us in an invocation, please?
Bow your heads, please. Father, we just love you today, Lord. We thank you for this day, God. We thank you for just being here, Lord, be able to breathe. Lord, we ask for wisdom. Your word says if you ask for wisdom, you give it to us. Lord, we need wisdom in this day, Lord. We ask for the soldiers, Lord. We ask for the people that's lost people today, Lord, to keep them in our prayers, Lord. And we ask to let us have wisdom to make good decisions, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you, Magistrate Ray Hill. At this time, Sam, would you call the roll?
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell? Here. Mr. Rayhill?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
All present?
thank you. Treasurer's report, Ken Ann.
Yes, sir, that's the transfer report dated for September the 30th, 2020 for your approval.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon to approve the transfer of the transfer of funds by the Treasurer's report as presented. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rayhill?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you. Presentation and approval of all bills.
Second.
Got a motion by Fourth District Magistrate Ray Hill, a second by Third District Magistrate Glaswell for the presentation and approval of all bills as presented. Any discussion? None. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rayhill?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you. Approval of the minutes from the September 15th, 2020 meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes dated September 15th, 2020.
Second.
Got a motion by Second District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by Fourth District Magistrate Ray Hill to approve the minutes as presented from the September 15th, 2020 meeting. Any discussion? Sam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Rayhill?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you. Director Hatfield, solid waste, the waste tar event.
Good morning. I want to make sure this Saturday is going to be our household hazardous waste event. It will be from 8 to 12 at the Bullitt County Fairgrounds. And then I wanted to discuss with the court, and the waste tire event is going to be the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of October. And we're going to be under state protocol this year. It's not going to be like all the other years. From the 22nd and 23rd, will be open from 8 to 4. It'll be behind Carp Country at 315 Joe B. Hall. And then Saturday, the 24th, we will be open from 8 to 12. Now,
Same place,
pardon?
same place.
Yeah, yes. I don't want to do this, but they do not want anybody bringing tires to get out of their vehicle. They want you staying in the vehicle because of the COVID thing. They're going to be on-site checking, so I'm probably going to be the bad guy to try to make everybody stay in the vehicles. We are going to have people there to unload you, and we'll be sorting them out. So if any of you all are bringing tires or you know anybody that's going to, feel free to contact me or the judge's office. And if you have any questions, we will not be taking any off-road tires, no solid rubber tires, and no tires filled with foam. Any other tires we'll be taking on the rim or off the rim. So I think I touched on a little bit of everything on that. Does any of the court have any questions? I'm
You
gonna
feel you
try
don't
to
have enough?
hire 6 or 8 people.
All right.
Okay.
And to help you a little bit with that, Larry, I'd like to take our hats off to the Soil Conservation District, because each year they have to, they have a $10,000 grant available for environmental concerns, and they graciously donated Friday the $10,000 grant
Good,
to you
thank
for
you.
the tar removal to help us hire the help. And it's for $10,000. And Bill Harned, the chair, and Don Samuels, the CFO of the organization.
Great. We will be, definitely can use it.
How many tires did we take in last year?
3 years ago, I got a little over 34,000.
Okay.
So, again, we used to have the inmates, but we're not gonna have them this year again. We didn't have them for cleanup days, and of course, that drives the cost up to all of us, but, I'm hoping we have less than 34,000 this year, but who knows? But we'll be there, we'll be ready, and, I wanna thank Cart Country for allowing us to, use that spot, because I need 2 or 3, 4 acres where I can get the tractor trailer trucks in and out safely. And any questions? Okay, I'm headed to the landfill to meet with the engineers.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you all.
Director Hatfield, thank you. There's no old business at this point. New business, first reading and public hearing of zoning ordinance 20-15. Dallas Earl Harshfield, Dwight D. Harshfield, and Eric E. Harshfield.
Good morning. This is Planning Commission docket 2020Z-10. The applicant owner is Dallas Dwight and Eric Harshfield. They're asking to rezone the property from agricultural to R1 residential. This is a portion of 5309 Cedar Grove Road. It is 10.75 acres, more or less, and the comprehensive plan shows low-density residential. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on September 10th, 2020, and based on the testimony at that public hearing, the Planning Commission finds the requested zoning change is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plans and sends a favorable recommendation to fiscal court.
The first reading, Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 20-15, an ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural to R1 residential. The property in question is 10.751 acres, more or less, located on a portion of 5309 Cedar Grove Road in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the fiscal court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the fiscal court. And whereas the fiscal court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. And now therefore be it ordained by the fiscal court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2020Z-16, is hereby changed from agricultural to R1 residential. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section and provision of part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions, to the extent they are inconsistent herewith, are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 6th day of October 2020. Given second reading and vote upon at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 20th day of October 2020.
Thank you, Felicia and Rob. Anyone here wants to comment for? Anyone here to comment against? Thank you.
Is this all for they all gonna build on these homes? Is that what they're doing the division on this for? Is this all for the division and everything? They all want to build a home on each one of these lots?
That is correct. It was 14 acres that was left to the children
Okay.
There's three brothers, they're splitting it. I know last month we had the 30 acres for Dallas Marshfield where he's building his house.
Okay.
These are the other two lots for his brother.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you all. First reading and public hearing of zoning ordinance 20-16, Jamie R. Blank, Justin L. Tennell, and Albert Tennell. Felicia?
This is Planning Commission docket number 2020Z-17. The owners Jamie Blanc, Justin, and Albert Tennell. They are asking to rezone a portion of their property from agricultural to R1 residential. It's a portion of Tract 7 on a farm that was actually bought, and they're splitting it up between family members. It's 5.33 acres, more or less, and the comprehensive plan shows low-density residential. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on September 10th, 2020, and based on that testimony, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the requested zoning change is in agreement with the comprehensive plan and sends a favorable recommendation to fiscal court.
Rob?
First reading of Commonwealth Kentucky County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 20-16, an ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural to R1 residential. The property in question is 5.33 acres, more or less, located on a portion of Tract 7, located on High Ridge Road, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the fiscal court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the fiscal court. Whereas the fiscal court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. And now therefore be ordained by the fiscal court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2020-17, is hereby changed from agricultural to R1 residential. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passing publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 6th day of October 2020, to begin second reading and voted upon at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 20th day of October 2020.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 20-16? Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 20-16? Hearing or seeing none. Felicia, first reading and public hearing of zoning ordinance 20-17. Arvina A. Robinson.
This is Planning Commission docket 2020Z-18. The owner is Arvina Robinson. They are asking to rezone from agricultural non-conforming to R1 residential. It's located at 175 Sunshine Camp Road. It's 4.45 acres, more or less, and the comprehensive plan shows low-density residential. The Bullitt County Planning Commission held a public hearing on September 10th, 2020, and based on that testimony, the Planning Commission finds that requested zoning change is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan and sends a favorable recommendation to fiscal court.
The first reading in Commonwealth Kentucky County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 20-17. An ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural non-conforming to R1 residential. The property in question is 4.45 acres, more or less, located at 175 Sunshine Camp Road in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the fiscal court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the fiscal court. Whereas the fiscal court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. And now therefore be ordained by the fiscal court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in document number 2020Z-18 is hereby changed from agricultural to R1 residential. Section 2, this ordinance take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, Within the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions, to the extent they are inconsistent herewith, are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 6th day of October 2020, to be given second reading and voted upon at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 20th day of October 2020.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 20-18? Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 20-18? Hearing or seeing none, thank you all.
Thank you.
First reading, public hearing of budget amendment 20-08, attachment number 3, Treasurer Sharp.
Ordinance, number 20-08, page 102, amendment number 3 in summary form, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the county of Bullitt has realized unbudgeted receipts from the federal funds, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021 is amended to, Section A, increase the receipts of the federal funds by $548,666 and include unbudgeted receipts from account code 07, description federal funds in the amount of $548,666. Section B is to increase the expenditure accounts in account code 01, description the general fund in the amount of $111,614, account code 03, description the jail in the amount of $60,120,000, and account code 09, description EMS in the amount of $376,932. Please note the amendment is in summary form. However, you may request to use the amendment in its entirety in the county treasurer's office during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Page 202, Section 2, the amounts adjusting the receipts and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes approved by the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County, Kentucky, this day, the 6th day of October of 2020. This just being the first reading.
Thank you, Kenan. Action item number 5, the appointment of Neil McElroy to the Kentuckiana Works Board, term to expire September 30th, 2023. And he's the president of Santa Rosa up in Mount Washington, one of our largest employers and givers in the community. Kentuckiana Works Board, they only take applications from those at his level or the same level of HR for their commitment to the community to help the workforce.
Need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'll make it a motion that we appoint Neil McElroy to Kentuckiana Works Board, term to expire September 30th, 2023.
Second.
Got a second. Got a motion by Second District Magistrate Logston to appoint Neil McElroy to the Kentuckiana Works Board, term to expire September 30th, 2023, and a second by, okay, and I'll make the motion then.
I'll second it.
Okay, to appoint Neil McElroy to the Kentuckiana Works Board.
Second by me.
Got it.
Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Action is requested to surplus items from the sheriff's office. See the attached sheets.
For the formal motion.
Second.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Second District Magistrate Logston to approve the attached sheet from the sheriff's office to surplus items. Walt?
Judge, if I may add to that.
Yes, sir.
To surplusing it, we would also like authority to transfer those radios to the Bullitt County Detention Center.
Yes, sir.
There's 50 of them, and they were the radios that we were using prior to the switch over to the new system. And it's my understanding that the detention center is able to continue to use those internally, and Paul has advised, we've loaned them to him up to now, but as soon as we get this surplus, we will transfer the possession of them officially to the jail, and they'll be able to use them for years to come.
Okay,
Thank
so
you,
I'll
Bob.
amend it and include that in my motion and everything.
And that should be a savings of somewhere in the I mean, those radios are $150 to $300 a piece if we had to buy them.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sheriff. So,
They, generally speaking, they are 1,000 times better than what we had. There are some glitches that we're still working through, and there are still, and will continue to be. There's dead spaces in Louisville that they run into with their system, but we're working those glitches out, and some minimal numbers of areas that we don't have coverage and didn't have before and don't have today. But all in all, it's the sound quality and the ability to get out is overwhelmingly better. Awesome,
thank you, Sheriff.
I want to say something here while we got the sheriff and everything on. We got the email and everything in regards to where your off-duty officers and everything went into Louisville and everything, and I do appreciate you doing that, because I've been on this court. I come on this court in 1990, and Walt came on as the county attorney and everything, and we have used Jefferson County numerous times, and I don't ever remember a bill ever coming through that Bullitt County Fiscal Court had to pay for, because they volunteered to come out and help us and everything. And I really, really appreciate what you've done, Walt, because that was kind of in turn what they've helped us with over the years and everything. And I want to express my appreciation for what you've done, how you handled all that.
And to echo that, Dennis, I've been here, we have lost children, they send a helicopter out. Anytime we've asked, I can't recall any time that we've ever asked them to send their SWAT team out here, which has been seldom, thank God, but, and likewise with the lost children. But recently we had a criminal that took off running into the woods, and all of the good number of the Bullitt County Sheriff's deputies, including myself, went out looking for him. Shepherdsville assisted us, and here before long, because we asked, here came the Jefferson County helicopter, or the Louisville Metro helicopter, and they were on scene for 25, 30 minutes, and those helicopters cost a lot of money to run.
Oh, they
I'm
do.
here to tell you, and never sent a bill, never have, and I was very pleased to be in a position that we could assist them in their hour of need.
Well, that's what I'm saying and everything, because I've been here since 1990, and I've never seen a bill come before fiscal court since 1990 and everything. And I appreciate the officers that willing to go in and help and assist, because they've been ready for us anytime we've ever asked them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Walt. I appreciate it.
Thank you all. Okay, I have a motion from First District Magistrate Mitchell to surplus the items on the sheriff's attached list, plus the use of the radio system, the radios for the detention center for communication for them.
Second.
Got a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon. Any further discussion? Sam, call a roll, please.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Action item number 7, health insurance for county employees. Phil Brown Insurance Agency, as recommended by KCO. Scott, would you like to take any questions from the magistrates?
Yeah, glad to answer any questions anybody has, or if you'd like an overview of what you have before you, be glad to give it to you.
Well, you've offered an additional plan, and you're a little bit lower than what it was last year, I think, so.
It was, yeah, it was
That is
originally,
that's an asset.
4.4% increase was originally proposed by Humana, but we were able to get that down to a 2% decrease. And then, as you see, we've proposed a fourth plan option to give employees a little more choice, having a fourth plan to choose from, and also lower some of the employee contributions, as you can see there.
We appreciate all the work and the help. Obviously, anytime you can provide more options at a lower cost, it's a win-win for everybody. So thank you and
Very well.
the partnership.
Yeah, thank you all.
And thank you. I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Mitchell and a second by Fourth District Magistrate Ray Hill to approve the health insurance plan that's presented here today by Phil Brown Insurance Agency, as recommended by KCO. Sam Colorado.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal? Judge Summers?
Yes,
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Rob? Action item number 8. This is second reading and action required on ordinance 20-11. An ordinance relating to the regulation, control, and elimination of soil erosion and sedimentation resulting from land disturbance activities in Bullitt County.
This will be your second reading in Commonwealth of Kentucky, Bullitt County, ordinance number 20-11. An ordinance relating to the regulation, control, and elimination of soil erosion and sedimentation resulting from land disturbance activities in Bullitt County. Be ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky. This being presented in summary form. Section 1, authority, sets forth the legal authority of this ordinance and under Kentucky law, specifically KRS Chapter 67. Section 2, purpose and scope, sets forth the purpose and scope of this ordinance with respect to soil erosion and sedimentation resulting from land disturbance activities. Section 3, definitions, establishes definitions for terms used in this ordinance. Section 4, permits, establishes the requirement for a permit for land disturbance activities of 1 acre or more. The activity is exempted from said permit requirement, the application and form requirements, permittee responsibilities, fiscal surety requirements, notice of termination provision, KPDES permit applicability, relationship to other applicable laws, and high-quality water protection requirements. Section 5, review and approval, sets forth provisions regarding review and approval of permit applications by Bullitt County Code Enforcement, land disturbance activity start date requirements, permit effective period, and establishes Bullitt County Code Enforcement as the enforcement agency. Section 6, erosion prevention and sediment control plan, establishes the requirement of an EPSC plan to be submitted with the permit application and sets forth the applicable EPSC permit plan requirements, including best management practices. Section 7, design requirements, establishes and sets forth minimum design requirements for EPSC measures. Section 8, inspections, authorizes inspections for compliance by Bullitt County Code Enforcement and sets forth notice requirements, self-inspection requirements for permittees, and inspection report requirements. Section 9, fees, authorizes Bullitt Fiscal Court to establish an applicable fee schedule and requires the payment of any fees prior to permit issuance. Section 10, enforcement, establishes Bullitt County Code Enforcement as the enforcement agency for the provision of this ordinance and sets forth the enforcement process, including issuance of stop work orders for violations, reinstatement, pursuit of legal remedies, and appeal rights. Section 11, penalties, establishes penalties for violations of this ordinance, including criminal and civil. Section 12, interpretation, this ordinance shall be interpreted consistent with Kentucky law and applicable federal laws. Section 13, inconsistent ordinances repealed. All ordinances which are hereafter found or determined to be in conflict herewith are, to the extent of such conflict, hereby repealed. Section 14, severability, allows for severability of provisions as a result of an adverse court ruling. Section 15, effective date, this ordinance shall take effect and be in full force upon passage of publication as required by law. Given first reading in a regular meeting of the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County, Kentucky on the 15th day of September 2020. Given second reading, voted upon and passed at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court of the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County, Kentucky on the 6th day of October 2020. Complete copy of this ordinance may be viewed and inspected at the office of the Bullitt County Judge Executive, Bullitt County Courthouse, 300 South Buckman Street, Shepherdsville, Kentucky, during regular business hours, Monday through Friday, excluding legal holidays.
Thank you, Rob. And I would like to thank your all's office for your the details involved in this ordinance to help to prevent any future dumping in Bullitt County. Any questions, gentlemen?
I want to ask John there and everything. John, once we finalize this ordinance and everything, what about what's going on right now? Does that bring that to a halt, or where do we go from here like that?
No, it's not a retroactive ordinance, it's a perspective. It goes forward, not in reverse. So what's grandfathered in is grandfathered in. This would apply to all new soil erosion controls and dump sites, things of that nature. But you'll still have to deal with the ones that are already in place.
How do we go about dealing with them?
Well, you'll just have to monitor them like you are right now. I mean, they're under regulation. They can only dump certain materials, but we're looking at violations of landfills. If they dump something hazardous, you can shut them down. But as far as a new site, it will have to comply with the regulations under this particular ordinance. You cannot really pass an ordinance that makes something that is legal at the time illegal in the future. That's what I think that's what you're looking at, is if you can go back and make this retroactive. And the answer is a simple no, you can't do that.
Okay, but if there's any ongoing dumping right now, there's nothing we can do about that?
So you still regulate the landfills right now, Dennis. I mean, so anything that happens on a site is under the control of the code office, basically, and that's what this regulation is going to be under code office. So planning and zoning will still look at these things. If it's an illegal site, it's an illegal site. It's not going to change anything.
Okay.
We still have all the regulations in place to enforce these.
Okay. All right, thank you, John.
John, what about, we've talked about this before, but I know this, what about commercial activity being done on residential property?
Commercial activities.
A business dumping commercially with a business, but it's, there's no commercial zoning for that.
Well, again, this is a soil erosion control. Landfills it makes no difference whether it's commercial, residential, agricultural. A landfill is a landfill.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
So this didn't differentiate any of
if
that.
somebody is using property illegally, then planning and zoning will be alerted, and if necessary, we'll take criminal actions and or civil actions as may call for it.
Okay.
Okay, all right. That answers that question I had anyway. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Is this, Judge, can I ask something real quick, or is this not my time?
You can wait till you
Based
speak.
on, I believe, what it relates to the discussion that you guys were going to have. So a man that's got property that's zoned residential and is using it to start his business and run his business off of residential property, making it a commercial business with signs up, advertising and everything else, and creating what I consider is it's unlawful, but it shouldn't be used in that manner. It's residential property. How is that, how are we supposed to stop that again? How is that monitored and how will we stop it?
Vote on this real quick before.
You'll have to report that to the planning and zoning administrator if it is a residential zone property. The problem that you have, a lot of property is zoned agricultural. And agricultural has different uses and different abilities to be utilized. And it's not even close. Ms. Harper is the planning and zoning administrator. If you have a question, I suggest that you talk to her after this meeting. She can give you the what's allowable in a residential versus what's allowable in an agricultural. And in agricultural zones, you're allowed to do things as far as moving dirt, hill, things of that nature. This particular ordinance is to control filling on commercial, residential, agricultural. It's in addition to federal regulations that are already in place when you're in flood areas. It does not prevent people from utilizing fill on a site unless it gets above a certain amount. So
Let's vote on this
it's not
one and get
meant
it out of the
to
way.
keep buildings from being built. It's meant to do what you're looking at, take commercial dump and waste and put it into a residential area and to utilize residential property for commercial purposes.
I understand your explanation that you gave a few moments ago. And I guess I'm going to have to go trace it.
The property that they are talking about is zoned R1 residential. We gave them till yesterday to get a rezoning application into our office. They did not submit one. So with that, I have told our code enforcement officer to move to the next step.
All right.
Because if they are operating a commercial business in an R1, that's against our zoning regulations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
All right.
Let's
So-
vote on this.
All right. Make-
We start with
Can,
everybody
can,
talking.
can,
about it.
can we wait, Dwayne? Do you mind? We need to move
You
forward,
wanna make a
all right?
motion on that?
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion and everything on the ordinance and everything. It's ordinance number 20-11 in regards to the regulations and everything. I'll make a motion on that.
I'll second that, and I appreciate all the work everybody's put in together for that. I know that's kind of tightened the belt up, so to speak, to try to eliminate some other things. I know some of you all are here and have been here in the past for a specific issue, but hopefully this will help with some of those other issues, but it sounds like she's working heartily on your all's particular issue right now. But I'll second that
Okay.
motion.
Good.
We want to, if we have to, we'll fine tune it, but we'll keep working on this.
Right. And Dwayne, I apologize. Dwayne's, right.
In Jefferson County, they stopped the dumping. So a little water come out about 70 acres up there, beside where I'm at. And they come and got a conditional use permit from our board. And the reason they stopped, MSD pretty much just put a stop to dumping in Jefferson County. That's what we're getting now. So what I don't understand, if Jefferson County can ordinance it out or regulate it out, is why Bullitt County came. When Jefferson County came to us to start dumping in our county, and they come to our board, there she is, and they requested a conditional use permit, which they was granted, with tons of restrictions. And they agreed to the restrictions that we had. And that's how it needs to be. I mean, people shouldn't just be able to start, if I want 100 acres, just invite everybody out from Jefferson County. So I think, my opinion, it needs to be tightly controlled, or we're gonna be, like we have been, just a dumping ground for everybody in the countryside. That's all I wanted to say, but that's how we've been doing it on our board, is with
Okay.
conditional use permits. Where they throw out their plan, and we review the plan with Felicia and John, and then we come up with what restrictions we think may need to be placed on them. And they can either agree to that or they have nothing. And that's how we've been doing it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dwayne.
And I agree with that, because it does need to be done that way, and I don't have a problem with that, because when they come in before the board, they come before to try to get a conditional use permit and everything, all these things are addressed, all the stipulations are put on them, and they either vote to accept it or they deny it. And I think that's a step we need to go through. And that works. They're, like I say, if they do anything else, they're in violation.
Okay. So, any other discussion, Dennis?
No, I'm fine right now.
Very specific question for Mr. Woodard. If the people that have been dumping, they filled, I don't know how many acres already. Now, with this ordinance, does that say, and it's residential property, does that say they've already filled it and it has to stop? Can they fill one more acre and then have to stop? Or does this not apply to them because they've been doing it already? If you have a land disturbance for more than 1 acre permit.
If they're in residential, there should not be dumping at all on a commercial level. If they're in a agricultural area and they get a permit to do it, well, they're regulated. But basically, once they complete what they're doing now, this ordinance should take effect. And if they're trying to increase the size, this ordinance should be applicable to that particular type of sites.
All right.
So as I hear that, they can fill 1 acre, less than 250,000 cubic feet from now forward, once this
Well,
ordinance is put in place.
No, what the ordinance says, it allows them to fill a certain amount of fill. It's not the size, it's the fill. This is
Right.
drafted to where you're looking at only, I think it's either 200 or 250 cubic yards of dirt, which is basically about 10 tracks of loads. Anything above that, you're gonna have to get a permit
All right.
in Bullitt County
Once this goes in,
prospectively.
He's limited to that. He can't just keep going saying, well, I've been filling this in for years.
No, we'll cease at this point, once this ordinance goes into effect.
But just for some information and everything, and I've done some checking on this, and maybe John and I need to get together on a math a little bit and everything, but 250 yards of dirt and everything comes out to about a little shy of 21 tandem loads of dirt, is what that comes out to. Just shy of 21 tandem loads of dirt, a field. That's what 250 yards of dirt is. Well, that's quite a bit. That's what I'm saying, this will get a handle on it and everything, and that's the max that they can do on this one permit. And then, like I say, when if they come try to do something else, they gotta go before the board there and everything to get a conditional use permit. I don't see that happening,
How, if it continues, who do we call? If now that this is passed, what do we do if anything else?
Right now, you want to send a formal, complaint to planning and zoning. Once this becomes a fact, I believe it's gonna be code enforcement that actually enforce the bill. I'll be enforcing the operation. But if you all can give a formal complaint to our office, that will help. Thank you.
There we go.
But hopefully this helps, and nothing's perfect, but thank you all for your patience, and we're trying.
We really do and everything, because this thing has been a problem for us, and it's done destroyed our road up there altogether and everything, so it really has, and it's been an ongoing problem and everything. This is our first step to try to get this thing under control.
I just want to say, this is all I want to say. I can say a lot more, but I'm just going to thank you all. I'm honestly thankful, but I really want to help you. It keeps their residents safe, not like Jefferson County.
Right.
And all we're asking is, please, just, I don't know any else to say, but just.
You're
keep us
welcome.
safe. I mean, I'm scared to death. I care about people. That's why I get emotional. So if you look at me like I'm an emotional person, I'm sorry, but I don't want to see a busload of kids get hurt or killed. I don't want to be hit. I almost got hit head on last night. We couldn't show the footage today for some reason, but literally the second time in 3 weeks I've had a dump truck coming after dark. You shouldn't be running after dark. These big trucks can't see where they're going. And you practically have to go off the road to people get hit. And you can see that I had to swerve. I mean, and I come in and I was shook. I was shook up so bad it took me a good hour to calm down.
Yeah.
That's why I say we need to stop this. And the other thing is don't let people get commercial businesses in residential areas where it's disturbing people all out in the night. Because we live right behind you, literally just across the hall, and everything is echoes. It sounds louder inside our house for some reason than it does outside. I don't know why that is, but.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I think I told you all this story, but my mom and my youngest brother, they were hit head on by a dump truck, and they were both stat flighted to Louisville. So, those images of dump trucks and, crossing over the yellow lines, it's concerning to all of us, and that's what we're trying our best to see how we can take care of this legally and help our community be safe.
You're,
Well, I just
You're-
wanna
you're
tell you,
welcome.
I'll be watching this personally, day by day. So, and we're gonna work real good with the code enforcement and everything now.
Yep.
So, we're gonna get this straightened out.
All right, we are. And thank you all for your patience. I have a motion on the floor by First District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Second District Magistrate Logston to approve ordinance 20-11. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahill?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you all. You're welcome. Number 9, actions requested on a budget amendment for the sheriff's office. It's in your packet, gentlemen. Walt, if you want to give a quick summary. Right.
Answer them?
I wanna, now, did you get this, how did you find out about these grants and everything, Walt? The lady,
Justin Ogle is our office manager,
Right.
and Justin checked on that and became aware of it, that there was the one through the Kentucky Department of Libraries and Archives. And what we did, we searched. We went out and
Okay.
looked to see if we could come up with something, because when we got there last January, we found records in bags, in boxes, in plastic totes that went back to the 1900s. So we determined, we then got to looking at the state statute on the retention schedule and so forth. And mind you, there's stuff that has to be kept. For instance, something that you may not, the public doesn't realize, may not, but if we have evidence that comes in to the sheriff's office or any police agency dealing with a homicide, we have to keep those records we have to keep that evidence for 99 years. That's why we're constantly needing more space. Now, thankfully, we don't have a lot of homicides, but we do have we have more than one would like to see of death cases, ranging from, and if you don't realize, please pray, the suicide rate amongst veterans, amongst people in general, is going up. And so we have different things like that, and we have to keep it for 99 years, but there's a number of other things that we don't have to keep, but it was being kept. And so we sought that grant from the Department of Libraries and Archives, and they gave us $30,000, and that has been utilized to hire a young lady to come in, and she's working, and because we have to do a whole lot of this by hand, some of it we are putting over into electronic records, some of it we are getting in a position to be able to not keep it any longer. But every piece of that has to be looked at individually so that we don't discard something that we are required by statute or otherwise should hold on to. And then the other grant that we got involved in, and we did it in 2019 when we came, and continuing on this year, is a safety grant from the Kentucky Department of Transportation. And it's administered, it's funded by the federal government, administered by the Kentucky Department of Transportation, and it is to, as the letter pointed out, is to try to save lives. We became aware of that. One of the first conferences that I went to as with the Kentucky Sheriff's Association, there was a representative from the Kentucky Department of Transportation there. And these grants have been around for some time, but for some reason, Bullitt County had not been utilizing that Kentucky Transportation Grant. And what it provides is monies to pay overtime to deputies to go out and enforce. They go out, they may work 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it may be, in their off-duty time to do nothing but traffic control. They're looking for speeders, and we're required, pursuant to the grant, to look at particular areas. We can't go to just any place that the deputy may feel like going. They have to concentrate on various areas that have been identified by the Kentucky Department of Transportation as a hazardous area for frankly, the big push for it, and why the federal government has pushed it, is to reduce fatalities on Kentucky's highways. I-65 is one of the big places. We have, I-65 is you know, when I was a kid, Dixie Highway was called the Dixie Dye-Way. Well, they could rename I-65 the Dixie Dye-Way as well today, because, and the stretch from Elizabethtown to Louisville is one of the most dangerous stretches along I-65, just in terms of the records that the Department of Transportation has with regard to accidents that involve, that result in deaths. So that's how we did it, and we hope to continue with it. And talking with our deputies, they are very pleased to get it because it provides them with some additional income, overtime income, and they're doing a good job of getting out there and watching after. In fact, we're required to target people not wearing seat belts. So if you're not wearing a seat belt, be sure you put it on. And follow the speed signs and so forth. Particularly, let me remind everybody, the buses are running, picking up school kids. I stopped a lady the other day. She was busting through 25-mile-an-hour speed zone, doing 40 miles an hour in a 25-mile zone. She was very apologetic. She told me she was just following the car in front of her. Don't follow the car in front of you. Make sure you watch the signs and those flashing lights and say 25. Let's put the brakes on and get down to 25 miles an hour. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks. I think that is a big deal, though, finding those grants, and I'd encourage even our other departments. I know this administration's done a good job of securing money that's out there, but thank you for taking the initiative in your own department doing that, and I'd encourage other departments to look, and if there's any outlets or avenues out there. I know Keith works very closely with some of you all on some of that stuff, but thank you for finding that on your own and helping the whole county out.
And I would love to get a whole lot more adept at it. I don't know, I don't know all the places to look, but we'd sure like to get more of them.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you, sir.
I'll make the motion for the sheriff's amendment to his budget.
Second.
Got a tie by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon and 4th District Magistrate Rahill. Sam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell? Yes. Motion carried.
thank you. At this time, sign-in sheets, Rob, Rod, Tammy, y'all have any more comments?
Just a big thank you to everybody. I mean, that's just, it means so much to know that we got you guys that have got our backs when it comes to safety. And also the reparations of the damage that's been done as far as the roads and stuff. You showed us a lot.
Thank you.
Members of your panel showed us a lot. We really appreciate knowing that we've got people there that have the community goodwill in mind.
Thank you,
Let me
and
say
we
one
do.
more thing to y'all and everything, because your road is tore up pretty bad. Get with your state rep, because that is a state road. That does need to be repaired. It needs to be redone and everything now. Get with your state reps and everything. This is a good time because they're working on the budgets and what have you and everything, just like everybody else is. So get with those guys and everything. You know who your state reps are, who your senators are and everything, and ask for some help now to get this thing in the works and everything, because you're in the 5th district, and that covers a pretty big area and everything, but talk to them and everything about repairing this road.
Yeah, Russell Weber's.
You got Russell Weber, Tom Huff, and then you got another one that's got part of the county, and then Mr. Nemus and everything is, Senator Nemus is our state senator here, which lives up on 44 East. So get with those guys and tell them what, you let them know what your problem is, and I'm sure Russell and Tom knows, but tell them we need some help on that road too.
I think some of them got a lot of talk with you guys on this earlier.
Okay,
That's, thanks for the suggestion, and I will want to look at that.
good deal.
I'm sure.
Thank you all. At this time, for those of you who are new to here, you have 3 minutes to speak. We're going to just start right down the list here with a Chris Allen, can't read the initials behind the name, or Angie Greenup, 594-6897.
I'm Dr. Chris Albert. I've been a veterinarian in Bullitt County for 36 years. Some of you may remember when we were on national news on CNN for shooting dogs at the shelter. Do any of you remember that?
Get closer to the mic, if you don't mind.
Okay, some of you may remember when we were on national news for shooting dogs at the shelter.
Who are you with again?
I am a private citizen.
Okay, I thought you said you was a veterinarian or something.
I am a veterinarian,
Okay.
yes. So I work with Angie Greenup. I am not the primary office that she refers to, but I'm here to say that she has done a remarkable job of changing the amount of animals destroyed to a great number of animals saved. I'm wondering if as citizens, do we have, I don't know, ask the lawyers among us, do we have the right to know why she was demoted?
I think there's a lot of people signed up. In my opinion, it may be best to answer questions at the end.
Just knowing, do we have the right to know why she was demoted?
Ma'am, this is a personnel issue, and I'm not going to comment on a personnel issue.
Okay. So, as a veterinarian who's seen lots of animals destroyed, who's seen our county name be dragged through the mud when we were shooting dogs before, I'd like to say I support Angie Greenup. I would like to see her reinstated. If there is if we're not entitled to know why things happen in the county, I'm not sure I understand why. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I think it's Amy Lee. If that's not right, correct me on your first name.
My name is Amy, and I am a rescue that works closely with Angie. And I guess, like everyone out here, I want to know the same thing. I want to know why.
Pull your mask down.
Can you,
Pull it down so we can hear you.
I choose not to. I'm a
Okay.
chemo patient and I have a throat tumor, so I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'll lean closer in. I would echo the same question. I mean, I'm grateful that y'all are good to the county and on safety, but why not good to the county on the animals? Why would you ever want to go backwards to a time when animals lost their lives at almost a 98% rate? I know what it was like before you were in, before Angie was in, and the animals were heart stuck and thrown in a kennel to flop around and die. They were stomach stuck and left to die, seizuring on the concrete. I've witnessed it firsthand. I've seen it with my own eyes, what's taken place in that shelter. And I've witnessed the hundreds of abuse cases that she has taken on. Matter of fact, I have taken in some of the worst of those abuse cases from the county. I mean, horrific abuse. I've got tens of thousands of pictures of what animals look like that she has gone out and rescued from those situations and prosecuted. I also listened with my own ears and seen with my own eyes the things that was said in the last meeting. I'm sure you're not going to address being called out about being told that if you got elected, that girl, meaning Angie, would be terminated. You would get rid of her. Well, that girl has changed Bullitt County for the animals. Am I right? Angie Greenup cares. And I read a one-sided kind of story on an online newspaper article about it was because of customer service. I got news for you. Go to that shelter one day. That's all I want you to do. Go volunteer, Judge. Any one of you magistrates up here, have you supported Angie and spent a day volunteering? Have you supported Angie and donated something to the shelter? Have you supported your own community and done something for the animals? How can you take away the one person that has? I admit, Tony is a swell guy. He's a great guy. But as much as I appreciate Tony, nobody has done what Angie has done, because if they were going to do it, they would have done it before her, and they didn't.
Teresa Clifford?
Good morning, I'm Teresa Clifford. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, gentlemen. To my knowledge, when you're hired as a Bullitt County, like when Angie was hired as the ACO director, she had to go through fiscal court. My question, first of all, is do you also have to go through fiscal court to do a reassignment, or is it just up to the judge executive to do that? I know you said that you'll hold questions or answers. If that could be written down to be answered, I would like to have the answer to that. I have a concern with the lack of investigations in this county with complaints. It seems as though that when you come to the fiscal court meeting and you make a complaint, that it's acted upon and never investigated. There was an instance when, back in March with all the COVID and everything going on, that the county just decided over one invalid complaint from somebody who does not even volunteer at the shelter. I spoke with you, Mr. Summers, about this on the phone, and you let me know that once something was out on social media, you had to act on it. And I understand that, but there was no investigation to ban the volunteers, no investigation into these complaints, so that anyone can come and say, so-and-so's doing this, and it gets shut down in this county. I was affected by that because my outreach was to the shelter. When I had downtime and things were, pretty hard during COVID in the beginning, that everybody was looking for something to do with their time. The shelter's volunteer base was thriving. We had new people coming in. We had donations coming in. The outreach from the community was tremendous. Yet it was shut down without investigation. The next thing I would like to bring up is that when someone calls the judge executive or sends an email, on the 23rd and the 30th, I made a phone call and I made an email. I got no response, nothing, not even a receipt. That, hey, we seen your email, we're working on it, please bear with us, nothing. That is not customer service. I'm not a customer. I'm a community member. I'm a taxpayer. I deserve a response. Now, I'd like to speak. I see I only have 24 seconds, but Angie has transformed that shelter and reversed the reputation for Bullitt County Animal Shelter, and I would really like to see her stay in her position. I know Tony as well. I'm speaking from experience, not hearsay. She deserves her position. She is who we need in the shelter. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Gabrielle King.
Hi guys, I'm not up here to attack any of you. I think you guys are really well-intentioned people. I could tell just from earlier, I've never been in a fiscal court before, that you guys really genuinely care. But there have been some times in my life where I have felt like my hands were tied and I have made the wrong decision. And for you, I feel like maybe that happened, maybe you were desperate, maybe things happened behind closed doors that we don't even know about. But what I'm asking you to do right now is work with me, because I know this is partially a customer service thing, but I've volunteered at that shelter since 2017, and it is heart-wrenching when you get on the phone with somebody and they try to justify some of the abuse that happens at that shelter, and it is hard. Like, I'm glad I'm not in Angie's position. I'm young and I'm still learning. I would not handle things probably as nicely as she does. If she's gotten frustrated with people before, that does happen, but sometimes customer service is also about doing the correct thing. And my dog, I care about her a lot. Angie, I know that if my dog got hit and got brought into the shelter and she was dying, I know that Angie would hold her while she was being put down. I know that Angie would, from her own funds, would cremate my dog. I know that she would be with her. That's customer service too. Not to mention how well she's treated me as a volunteer. I started volunteering there in 2017. I was 17 years old. They have upped the age for volunteering. I'm a shining example of why, because you should not be running up to dogs and who have went through abusive situations and just try to give them a hug. But I've learned a lot since then, and Angie has been so patient and kind in teaching me how to work with them. And she's really a special person who has benefited our community in so many ways. I would do anything to advocate for her and to make things better, but I'm only 21. I'm not in a position of power like any of you guys are, and all I am asking is that I get help from you guys to make this better and to fix this. And like I said, I think you guys are wonderful. I think that we get into situations a lot in life where we feel like we're stuck and we're desperate and we make a wrong decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Sharon Knight.
Good morning, you all know me. First off, I have petitions. So over 400 petitions that have signed online and quite a few that have been.
I forgot, there's the other petition that has 1,200 signatures. I'll print it and have it sent.
Okay, we have some that are hand signed. We'll give these to you. They are all in support of Angie. When I had volunteered when Jimmy Miller was in this position at the shelter, and everybody knows how bad that was. We had a horrible reputation, and it wasn't just in Bullitt County. That was statewide. People knew Bullitt County was horrible. Jimmy left, Mark came in. He would not take volunteers because he didn't want people knowing what was going on there. I called numerous times trying to get to be able to volunteer there and never heard back from him, not once. Angie came in. I heard there was a new person working there. I called and she said, please, I need the help. I went in there 3 days a week. I have been volunteering, answering the phones, doing data entry since October 2017. I hear the people that come in there. Those people that were on that video, they all were caught doing what was against the law. They were complaining. It wasn't Angie they were complaining about. They were complaining because they got caught. And she was enforcing the law, Kentucky state law, Bullitt County law. She has turned the reputation of Bullitt County around. Instead of punishing her, you should be rewarding her. You get people out here and give them certificates constantly. Half of the meetings you see on video is you've got all these people up here, you're giving them certificates. Angie Greenup should be getting a certificate for what she's done for this county. She's made every one of you look good, and this is what you do. And I want to know why. Thank you.
Kristen Aubrey.
My mother, Dory McAlvin, stood in front of this court back when I was a child and begged for things to change, as she knew and had photos of dogs that had been shot in the head behind the shelter. Never did I imagine that I would be here today fighting for things to not go back to the way they were 20 years ago. I have spent the last several years volunteering and fostering at this shelter with Angie, as well as Misfits and Friends Rescue. On behalf of Misfits and Friends Rescue, I can say that we are deeply saddened by the court's decision to demote Angie, as she has been active in working with our rescue and has sent upwards of 50 dogs in the last 2 years that our rescue has existed. Many of these dogs have been severely neglected, malnourished, heartworm positive, dogs that have been hit by cars, covered with mange, and have required extensive medical care. We can always count on her to follow through with neglect cases and hold people accountable, as these dogs have been failed by the people of Bullitt County. I can tell you one situation where Angie called me because I'm a foster for Bullitt County. I picked up this little terrier, 10 pounds. His skin was oozing. I bathed him twice a week. I put lotion on his skin. I cared for him. And the family wanted him back. Angie fought hard to get them to give him up so I could take care of him and we could adopt him out into a loving family. And that's what happened for him. His hair has grown back and he has gained weight and he is happy. Instead of placating to residents who could care less about their pets, we should be protecting those with no voice. They deserve more. I wish I could stand up here and talk about court cases that take up room in the shelter and the need for them to be adopted out instead of spending their life in a shelter awaiting their court date, or the desperate need for a chain ordinance. But here we are, again, me begging for us to not go backwards, the need for us to be going forward.
Thank you, Kristen. Shelby Osborne.
Hello. My family has known Angie for years. We have actually fostered from Angie. One of our babies we were supposed to foster, and all the fosters we've actually ended up adopting. Angie is the most amazing person, inside and out. And that's what makes her such a great asset to the Bullitt County shelter. She always puts those animals first. I know there's been times that she hasn't slept because she's too busy trying to make sure that all the animals are taken care of. That's not even including her own animals. That's all of Bullitt County, even surrounding areas. Our personal dog that we have from Angie, he was in the shelter for over a year, and that was like her own baby. She still comes and sees him at our house because she really does care. Angie has turned everything around. Like they said, 98%, almost 98% kill rate to almost 98% survival rate. That is insane. And for her to be demoted off of just something two people said who got caught, animal abusers, people who are hurting animals. I'm a person who can't have children, and my animals are my children. And for two animal abusers to be able to come up here and say that Angie's a bad person, and then we're just like, okay, bye. Like, that's not fair. And, you know, I, like the others, want to know why. That's just not fair, and it's not right, and we will do anything to get her back in her place.
Thank you, Shelby. Peyton Osborne.
Hello, I'm a friend of Angie's. I'm with my sister over there. I have a dog. Her name is Lola. She was known as Lucy in the shelter, if you remember her. She was left in a cage in the rain overnight, and Angie brought her in, took care of her. And when we first got her, she was all, you know, mean. She's a Chihuahua, so you know how they are. And I fell in love with her. I mean, I know she was, you know, a little gripey, but I knew I could love her, and she's like my child. Like, I couldn't imagine my life without her. So what I have to say basically is, you know, taking away her position is taking away people's opportunity to adopt amazing animals who have been cared for, who have been shown a light to the darkness that they have had, because I know mine has, and I am eternally grateful to her for that. It's just not fair what's going on. I don't understand the system at all. I know I'm young, I'm 19 years old, but I'm not young enough to see that the system is messed up. But with that being said, keep Angie.
Thank you, Peyton. Thank all of y'all for being here today. Any comments from the magistrates?
I guess I got one thing. I have a lot of compassion and everything for animals and everything. I've got a large number of cattle on my farm, and I'm with them every day. I can go up to any one of my cattle, any of the cows or anywhere on the farmer and everything, and I'm very close to them and everything. And the dogs and everything that I've had with me and on my farm, they've lived there till they got too old to die. I buried them there. But in 1990, when I first came on this court, we didn't even have an animal shelter. We had animal shelters on anybody's property we could find. So I asked the court and everything if we go out there and we start the animal shelter and everything out there where it is right now. I personally went out there with one of my sons, and we built the first small animal shelter that we had there. Didn't cost the county one dime. I donated all my time. Well, in this past year, the court and I agreed and everything that we would we put $100,000 in to get started on a new state-of-the-art animal shelter. And of course, we was tight on money and everything. We had to use money for other things and everything, but it's still in the budget. So we do have compassion and everything for the animals and whatever and everything, but I will not get into the personnel issue whatsoever, because that's something we just don't do, because next thing you know, we got lawsuits filed against us and everything. So I don't discuss personnel issues except in executive session. But just want to know, let you know where I stand. I've been involved with the animals and animal shelter and everything since 1990. So just want y'all to be aware of that and everything. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I can't talk about a lot of things. I talked to Angie for probably 2 hours this week, earlier in the week. And she admitted to me that she had hired an attorney to hopefully obtain her job back. So once she had disclosed that she's hired an attorney, it creates a lot of obstacles about what can be shared and what cannot be shared in terms of personnel issues. And there's, trust me, I've learned, and it's not those two individuals that just came in here the last meeting. There's a lot of other things that surround this decision that was made by the judge. And I'll be honest, I understand that. And Amy said something earlier about have you supported Angie? I think of anybody up here, I can say that you know, I do 40 plus fundraising auctions a year. And the major problem I got, and I won't discuss Angie today, but there is a major issue that I have with our community, and it is fear-mongering. It's absolute fear-mongering. I put my heart and soul in helping nonprofits raise money, and I work with all different types of organizations, small to big. And I've read so many things on Facebook that are lies, that are one-sided. One individual mentioned something about one-sided today. I think we're all getting one side of the story, and there's a lot more to the story, trust me. I've invested a lot of time. I mean, Sharon, you're there. I worked very close with you on a fundraiser. We raised $30,000. I did another fundraiser at Millanova, and we raised $5,000. How many other people's raised that much money? Exactly, because the shelter couldn't work directly with the Friends of Bullitt County Animal Shelter. That says everything to me. Now listen, let me talk. I want to talk. Listen. Listen, let me talk.
Please, settle down. We can't run a meeting that way.
What I have a problem with is fear-mongering. I'll leave it at that, because trust me, I love animals. I mean, I love animals, but to say that we're going backwards 20 years is so far of a lie. I've read comments on Facebook that says, we need dogs rescued. They will die in a matter of a couple of days, if not. Please donate now. The judge wants the shelter emptied. Magistrates and judge trying to force her to quit. If we do nothing, the animals will die soon. Angie's been reassigned to shelter supervisor to help those animals find homes, help those animals find rescues, to create more time to work with other rescues and shelters. This is the best opportunity. Sharon, hold on a second. I've got a problem with you as well, and I'll bring that up too. And the problem I have that I haven't been to shelters many times is because of volunteers. We have some amazing volunteers, but I will say there's probably a few volunteers that opinions sometimes are portrayed in the county, and then people portray that that's Angie's voice. That's not the case. I'm not going to get into personnel with Angie, but what I do want to do is Candy, can you pull up that one slide? And trust me, I'm passionate about this, but I want people in our community, I want you to film this, and I want people to understand what's going on. There's a slide right here that's circling around Facebook, and there's so many more. I've talked to several people. I've responded to everybody that has contacted me, and I've said, call me. Here's my number, or give me your number. There's not been one single person that I have not made an attempt to reach out to that reached out to me directly about this situation. I'm passionate about this because we've taken personal jabs about wanting to kill the animals, and I can speak for myself. I'm not speaking for the other magistrates. I'm speaking for Sean Loxton, because I'm going to tell you right now that none of us, I know me in particular, want to kill the animals. We're here to support the shelter. And there were some changes that the judge made, without a doubt. She was not fired, she was reassigned. But what my point is, I just want to touch on today while everybody's here, is I've seen several nonprofit groups, the National Animal Relief and Welfare Association, and many other groups have been putting out propaganda right now that the judge and the magistrates are going to kill animals. Donate money now to save these animals. That is a lie. There is no plan to kill animals. If so, Angie's the supervisor at the shelter. Talk to her about that, because there is no plan to kill animals and to clear out that shelter from the judge or for any of the magistrates. And people are passing this literature out, spreading this on Facebook, emptying their pocketbooks, writing checks, making donations out of fear. The animals need help, the shelter needs help, but to use this as leverage in the community, in my opinion, is wrong, because it's lies, forcing people to donate money to a cause, and the cause is good. But I understand, that's great, but my point is you cannot use the judge and the magistrates as leverage that they're going to kill those animals or donate today. I will say this, and I say this with heavy heart, because this is a very tough situation to deal with. When we stepped in here, this is animal control. It's not as much as we'd love for this to be a humane society and a shelter, it's animal control. When I helped with the Big Top fundraiser, we used a slide. Angie had sent a picture over of a dog. Sharon, you know the name of the dog. That dog was in the shelter for 2.5 years. 2.5 years, that dog was in the shelter. At some point, that becomes a pet. Nobody's wanting to kill any animals, but I ask you this as taxpayer citizens in the community, are you willing to, 2.5 years? We're not doing our job. That dog should have been rescued. That dog should have found a home. 2.5 years. So I just bring that up. Nobody's wanting to kill animals. Trust me, I'm passionate about it. I have never called and said kill animals. I'll leave it at this and we'll move on. But I encourage the community to understand, Tom, there is emails, Facebook going around, that we are going to kill the animals, donate today. If it serves for somebody's particular cause, I would question criminal activity almost. I can't answer that.
I think somebody knows the answer. We all know the answer. You know it's true.
Joe, you have any comments?
No.
Joe, Ray Hill.
We appreciate you guys coming by there today and giving passion. That's what we're supposed to do, you know, we're supposed to be passionate about the way we feel.
Remember?
Can I talk? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you being here. I really do. You know, you stand up for what you believe in. You know, we've got jobs to do. You don't understand them, and it's okay. You got a job to do too. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
We want to thank you all for being here today. I need a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, just for a second. Gentlemen, I had a question on the floor. I'm not I'm asking, what is the process for the hiring of an ACO director, and what is the process for the reassignment? Does it go through the magistrates? Does it go up for a vote? Or is it just up to the judge executive's discretion? Please, may I get an answer? Because we all want to know that.
Well, I tell you what, I'm all about accountability. We did it.
You should be.
I am, trust me. I am very accountable for what the actions that this court does and what this court takes. And it is a personnel matter, and I'm asking for a motion to
I already made a
adjourn.
motion.
Yeah,
I already did.
about the other people
Okay.
out here that wanted to talk?
okay,
There's no question.
all right.
So there's no.
Got a motion by Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Fourth District Magistrate Rahal.
Yes.
Yes.
Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Court's adjourned.
Get all that down, Sam?
If she's not reinstated, I gotta tell you, you guys are gonna have one hell of a fight on this.